I'm starting to think my friends hate me. One of my oldest friends, and by old, I mean both that he's old, being 6 months older than me, major difference, and that we've been friends for way too fucking long, has just started requesting movies specifically because he doesn't want to watch them and has decided that my idiotic way of describing the movies is better than the movies themselves.
And to that, I say, how dare you say things that are entirely true?
Anyway, here's another ghost movie. I guess technically it's a demon by the movie's logic, but whatever. It's a fucking ghost movie. Which means that it's like the third ghost movie that I'm reviewing, but this does mean that I get to plug my book, Ghostly Bodies, again. Haha! It's like an ad that I don't get paid for, and no one cares about. Perfect. Were it not for some cursing, this movie would be the definition of a PG-13 horror movie. Like, it's not bloody or gory, hardly anything happens realistically. It's a little sexually suggestive, but far less than almost any slasher film. Violence is done off screen, it's kind of spooky, so I will be talking about that spoopiness. I don't know. I feel like pretty much anyone can watch this one. Imagine that. A horror movie of all things getting my lightest content warning yet. I'm gonna spoil the whole damn movie. If you don't want that spoiled, too bad. A demon has trapped you here and you're stuck watching me ramble on about some bullshit for like, I don't know, until I say so? Or something. The movie opens on Micah, played by Micah Sloat, trying out his new camera, and his girlfriend Katie, played by Katie Featherston, coming home in a rather neat looking car. She asks how much the camera costed, and he dodges the question by saying,
Well, about half as much as I made today.
So, the framing device for the whole found footage thing is that our girl Katie has been haunted by a spectral stalker for years. Mika is seemingly supportive of her and takes her claims more seriously than admittedly I would, but I'm a jerk, so low bar, I guess. He's filming the thing so he can get incontrovertible proof that there is a ghost up in this bitch. I guess this bitch being Katie. Also, they bring in Dr. Friedrichs, who is played by Mark Friedrichs because the naming convention is very clever, a supposed psychic. He is going to help them figure out what in the fuck is going on. He comes and interviews her, and we get some actually well integrated but rather lazy exposition. Turns out that the ghost has been haunting Katie since she was 8. Her sister was there and apparently saw the apparition as well, but all of her experiences could pretty easily be written off as symptoms of sleep paralysis. But the whole cast of like 4 people take it pretty seriously. Mika does have some fun at the psychic's expense.
Can you see ahead of like that kind of thing? Like, like knowing the traffic's gonna be bad?
Oh, usually it depends on the day of the week or the time of the day, you know.
But I can hardly blame him for that, as I would have straight up pointed and laughed at the man. Dr. Freddy determines that this isn't really his area of expertise. Turns out, like I said in the intro, it's not a ghost, it's a demon. Not even the sexy kind of demon like Meru or Rias or Zool. What a fucking ripoff. He deals with ghosts, doing the whole John Edwards thing. By which I mean, he's kind of a douche.
But I'm a psychic.
No, dude, you're a douche.
I'm not a douche. What if I really believe dead people talk to me?
Then you're a stupid douche.
He does refer them to a demonologist, which is definitely a real thing, and definitely not a degree that you get from a correspondence course advertised on the back of Sexy Nuns Quarterly. The couple set up the camera to capture activity while they're sleeping, and this is probably the most unbelievable thing about this movie, which is a joke that I've been using in literally all of my reviews lately. This dude apparently has no experience with audiovisual equipment, and yet he manages to get the lighting and sound just right. Maybe he's just a better video maker than I am? Which, again, is a remarkably low bar. But still, fuck this guy. Speaking of, he keeps trying to convince Katie to fuck him on camera, which she's not willing to do. Which I admit is kind of a shame. They're both very pretty white people, and it would make the movie more interesting than It is. Spoopy sounds and some minor door moving happen in the middle of the night around 3 a.m. Pretty much everything happens in this movie at 3 a.m. Apparently, that's just after the demon has had its coffee and is awake enough to go fuck with some dumbasses. Micah reviews the footage and sees the door moved, and he's fascinated by us. He clarifies for us, the audience, that the doors and the windows were all closed, which I guess is supposed to be a means of eliminating other possibilities, making sure that we believe in the demon. There are also spooky noises, but at this point in the movie, pretty much everything just sounds like the vents need to be cleaned out, honestly. Me, being a skeptic that has lived in several shitty homes over the years, knows that there are plenty more reasons why a door could move slightly back and forth like that. Sure, the windows are closed, but do you have central air? Sure seems like you do. Is your house level? Is it near trains? Any of those things could move a door a bit. Also, Micah doesn't want any more psychics in the house for some reason. It's never really specified. The movie tries to play him off as some kind of like half-skeptic. Or maybe he's planning on selling the footage. Katie is absolutely down to call the demonologist, apparently, but every time she tries, Micah rebuffs her, saying that they can handle it with his stupidly pronounced name. Or sometimes that exorcists make the issues worse. The couple continue to film pretty much everything except for the one time they have sex. At one point, Katie decides to get up and stare blankly at nothing for 2 hours and then wander downstairs. Micah eventually wakes up and finds her outside. She's responsive and has her eyes open, but she doesn't seem all that lucid. She refuses to go back inside, and Micah's like,
"Well, damn, Jackie, I can't control the weather."
Because it's super cold outside or whatever. He goes inside to get a blanket, and when retrieving one, he hears something upstairs, and he sees that the TV is on and is playing the worst thing imaginable. One of my videos. Those poor fucks. No one should have to watch those videos. Except for you. Viewer trapped by a demon in this chair right now. You deserve this. As your war daddy, I've commanded this as your punishment. So, more spooky noises and stuff happened, and Katie appears behind him, and he basically shits himself. She's confused, and possibly even dazed. She crawls into bed and goes back to sleep. The next morning, they talk about it, and he gaslights her a bit.
I sat on the swing, and I went inside to bring you a blanket because you refused to leave in this catatonic, weird state you were in.
Wait, did I talk to you?
I don't know, wouldn't call it talking, but I come upstairs and there's like footsteps and the TV's on.
Despite having direct footage of what happened, she has no memory of standing around or talking to him, and he claims that it was barely talking at all. At some point, our boy tries to play a game of Phasmophobia with the big D, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, right, you little fucker. Got something to say? Now's your chance.
Obviously, his sanity is just too high at this point for the demon to go, booga booga booga! Micah wants to use a Ouija board to talk to whatever the thing is, and maybe get some of those digits, fam. Yeah. See if it's down for a threesome. But Katie, being a real buzzkill, doesn't want to threaten their lives further by taunting a demon. God, what a bitch. Micah, having previously promised not to buy a Ouija board, borrows one from a friend, which he apparently has, despite us never seeing him visit or talk to anyone who is not Katie, Amber, who is Katie's gal pal, or Dr. Freddy. When Katie finds out, she is fucking pissed. She storms out of the house to go to dinner or something, and he follows. But they forget to turn the camera off, which is a good thing because spoopy stuff happens. The demon skates the planchette around the board, and when he gets bored, decides to set it on fire. Can we talk about that for a minute? Why do people think Ouija boards are actual things? Like, why do people believe that they can talk to ghosts or demons? They're the most obvious nonsense made in the history of nonsense. They were created in the late 1800s to cash in on people's superstitions and spiritualism, and were made popular by a novelty company and some shady-ass psychics. Like, why would people believe that demons just want to use the English alphabet for anything? There's also a bunch of research that postulates that it's just a bunch of unconscious muscle twitches and our brain's habit of jumping to patterns even when none are present that cause the entire phenomenon. Anyway, I guess I'll stop ranting and get back to whatever I was doing before. What was I doing before? Right, reviewing a movie. Katie wants nothing to do with it, but Micah starts trying to decode the potential message from the other side. He does eventually find out what it was trying to say.
We've been trying to reach you concerning your car's extended warranty.
Also, theoretically, there's a name involved. Something like Nadine, or Diane, or Ayadne, which is a fine name. Use that for your next elf character. Or your child. Or your cat. Ayadne. I like it. Katie is increasingly annoyed by Micah's trying to find more and more proof of the supernatural. It's never super clear why he wants to do this, but he eventually does agree that they need to stop fucking around and try to figure out a way to get the demon to go back to Ohio, where all terrible things in America start. Like Jerry Springer, or the whole city of Cincinnati. He decides to pour baby powder on the floor tonight to make sure that the floor's bottom is kept nice and dry to prevent rashes. In the middle of the night, the couple is woken up by some noises, and they follow the footprints, and Micah is about to challenge the demon to a fight like he's Conor McGregor, but I'm pretty sure that fight would go just about as well for him as the fight against Mayweather did. They track the footprints to a closet and see that the entrance to the attic is askew. Our boy decides that he has to go up there, much to Katie's dismay. He does so and even brings the camera, only to see something that apparently is directly over their bed in the attic. I thought the demon may have stolen the girl's panties for some sniffing, but Micah retrieves it, and it's a partially burnt picture from Katie's childhood that would have been lost in the fire that claimed her family home, that I forgot to mention. Look at this photograph! Katie is understandably very shook by this and can't seem to process anything. The couple are now running on very little sleep and are irritable. The next night, the demon, who apparently has a bit of a foot fetish, considering that he keeps playing with Katie's feet for some reason. Wait, I figured it out. It's Quentin Tarantino. I always suspected he was a demon. Look at those lifeless eyes. They are eyes that just want souls. And are obsessed with souls. Homophones! Anyway, the demon decides to pull her off the bed and she starts screaming her head off, which is fair. I don't have any smart-ass skeptic explanations for that, other than that this is a movie and that demons don't reel. So Micah wakes up, and to his credit, he doesn't go for the camera, which is very responsible of him, and disappointing to me, because it means we only get the vaguest sense of the action. But then again, apparently this movie was shot for like 15 grand, which is not a whole lot for a movie. So at least that's before the Paramount reshoots. But I didn't know that there were multiple cuts of this movie, so I just accidentally got the original cut. So, yeah, 15 grand it is. Also, it's sometime at this point that they try to reach out to the demonologist, but he's busy not doing the exist. So, they're fucked. The couple wants to leave, and Micah notes that the demon bit Katie on her side. She's basically catatonic at this point, and he makes arrangements and packs the car, but Katie decides to curl up in a blanket and says she doesn't want to go anywhere and refuses to get out of bed, which is mood as hell. I would be in bed right now if I wasn't recording this stupid video. Micah reluctantly gives in, and they stay. They call Dr. Freddy, and he walks in and he's like, "What the fuck? Bro, this demon is angrier than a Facebook comment section about trans rights." And he pieces the fuck out, because he's smarter. Also, trans rights are human rights, and if you disagree with that, you can fuck all the way off. And not in the fun way. That night, the 21st night, which I assume has some mystical significance to people who believe in that kind of thing, Katie gets up and stands over her boy toy's sleeping form for a few hours. Then she goes downstairs and screams his name, much like she probably doesn't do when she's in bed with him. Ayo! He jumps out of bed and doesn't take the camera with him again. Then, after a moment, we hear the sounds of a struggle and then abrupt silence. After a moment or two, we hear someone again coming up the stairs, but we can't see anything. Maybe his lighting wasn't that good after all. Then Micah's body is flung at the camera and is apparently dead. He collapses to the floor, lifeless. Katie walks up to the light, and she's covered in blood. She leans over and sniffs him, I guess. I don't know, fam. She then smiles at the camera before tackling it for reasons that I will never understand. Cut to black. After a moment or two, some text says that Micah's body was discovered the next day, but Katie was never found. There are some alternate endings, like I mentioned, but I'm not going to bother looking for them because I don't care. Sorry. So, yeah. Here's where I'm supposed to go over what I think the movie is about, or something that I want to go on an unhinged rant about that is vaguely connected to the movie. And I definitely have something to say about this movie, and what I have to say is that the movie is about don't fuck with demons, I guess. Micah throughout the movie is constantly antagonistic to a force that is scaring the shit out of his girlfriend, just constantly mocking it. Which, like, granted, I would likely do the same, but still. I guess a more cohesive theme is to take the complaints and concerns of your significant other more seriously. Micah never really does this fully. He humors her here and there, but is widely kind of dismissive about something that is obviously really bugging her. When he is finally trying to figure out actually how to help her, she is angry as hell for him disrespecting her so much, which is fair. Granted, I'm a huge hypocrite here. If my significant other was claiming to be haunted, I would probably be the exact same as Micah. I would demand proof and try to disprove it at first, and that's a shit way to do a relationship. But I also don't believe in ghosts, or demons, or the state of Rhode Island. It's all a conspiracy by Seth MacFarlane and the Fox Corporation to sell Family Guy merch. I'll get to the bottom of it. So I guess humoring any of those things is going to be a tall ask for me. Try to respect your significant other, I guess. That's the theme. So this movie's a remarkably mixed bag. Micah and Katie do really have some good chemistry. I could believe that they're a couple, and they seem to get along well enough. I ship them. They even explain the found footage contrivance pretty well. But I guess it's the police, they're the ones that cut all the footage together and added the end card. Honestly, that's always the thing that I have the hardest time believing in found footage films is who did all of the editing? Everyone is dead, but the movie is still edited. How? Why? Also, the pacing for the movie is pretty good. It doesn't cockblock you from all of the spoopiness that's going on, and it builds up reasonably. I'm upset that we didn't get to see the fight. I would have loved to see Katie kick the shit out of Micah. That sounds hot. With all that said, though, I'm still not really a fan. I found the movie contrived and boring half the time, but I also interpret movies through the light of a reviewer. I did this prior to even starting this stupid channel. I come to movies looking for things to tear apart, so I'm kind of a bad person to watch movies with, because I guess the way that I enjoy movies is to kind of ruin the fun, and this movie couldn't suspend my disbelief enough for me to not do that. But I guess if you want a halfway decent, spooky movie, there are worse out there. There are also better, though. But hey, for 15 grand, that's pretty damn good. But if you want another spooky ghost story, you can check out my web novella below, Ghostly Bodies. It's not as spooky as this, but mostly because it's about something far scarier than any haunting. A long-term relationship. Woo! The basic plot is that John, a medium, goes on vacation and meets Lona, a poltergeist. Lona, having been lonely since her death, becomes immediately attached to the reclusive John and follows him home. They start off as roommates, but slowly their affection for each other builds and they start dating, which is weird and hard to deal with because, well, dating normally is pretty fucking weird and hard to deal with, but it gets even weirder when you're dating a ghost. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. This video in about 90,000 words. That's all you get, you vultures. But if you want more content, check out my other novel, Smash Gal and Esfinir. It's about superheroes and the implications of their existence. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Why not suggest more movies in the comments so that I can have more content? Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, support me on Patreon if you have money that you want to waste on whatever the hell this is. Share this video with your friends. Get a Ouija board and spell out each word in the script. Or, just show it to them. That second one might be a squick easier. Until next time, I've been Sean, your demon-loving movie reviewer, signing off.